You're listening to the Fitzy and Whipper podcast.
We are so excited about this, and we love this man. We haven't had him in the studio for such a long time, but Mirror, Mirror, Love and Hate premieres tonight, 7:30 on Channel 10. Also tomorrow night as well, you can catch it, but it's the magnificent Toddy Sampson.
Toddy! Hello. Morning. Good morning.
Mate, I'm always fascinated to hear what your project is and to hear you describe it. And then I love where our conversations go every time. Talk us through what you've got with Love and Hate.
So this... it's the second series of Mirror, Mirror. The first one was on body image dissatisfaction. This one is on the internet and how it's fundamentally changing us and how over time it's rewiring our brain, and more often than not in a negative way. So it's filled with tools and techniques and things we can do to help us mitigate the damage that the internet's causing. But there is no question, there is no debate that the internet is and the impact it's having on us is arguably the biggest crisis that we face.
Does it say a lot about society, though? Because I think that the word that I've heard, it's been labelled shock porn, and a lot of people are... The new thing is that they get off on people saying shocking things, and this is it's our industry as well. The word shock jock. Yeah. And, guys like Steve Price, Alan Jones, they've been doing it for years, and I feel like that to become more relevant, they have to be more controversial.
Yes. And so this is what the tech companies take advantage of. They take advantage of our innate negativity bias. We're drawn to the negative. And so the majority of content online, like well over 80% of that content, has nothing to do with humans. Yeah. It's all machine learning, algorithmically driven. So all the recommendations you're getting from YouTube, all the recommendations you get from Google, all of that is without human contact.
Yes.
It's all done by algorithms. And an algorithm learns you. It understands you. Everything you do online is mapped. Yep. And so they get you. And they know from a negativity perspective, if they give you something you're interested in, so something fits football, okay, that's fine. But if they make it a little more controversial and they go, okay, all the bad things that happened in football this week,
fights,
you'll watch more of it. And then you make it a little more negative and you'll watch more of it. And the algorithm, which is independent, is learning that. And basically it ends up in a situation where they're recommending conspiracy theories, or Alex Jones in America, who was in the press for all this hate speech. He was recommended independently by YouTube 15 billion times.
He was recommended to people.
15 billion times.
That's where people took him. Naturally out of interest.
Let's say you watch, I don't know, maybe you might watch a Hurricane Ian video on YouTube just to see what it's done over there. If you keep watching recommendations on the side, you'll eventually get to someone like Alex Jones.
You will. And it gets crazier with TikTok. So TikTok is arguably the most successful algorithm that exists. And that learns you so much that they claim in America they're scanning, face scanning as well. So with TikTok, if you go on TikTok, and I've done this, and it's in the film, but if you go on TikTok and you're feeling sad, you're a kid and you're feeling sad, so you look at you hover over a video but that's about loneliness. It goes, got you, she's interested in loneliness. Keep going. Next video, more about darkness, more about darkness, and eventually you're surrounded by negativity.
But do you look into at any point why we are drawn to, or do we understand why we're drawn to negativity? Is there a reason for that?
Well, it is an innate. So what these tech companies have done really cleverly, and the Stanford School of Persuasion was where it all really started in America. They're basically looking at us as humans and going, okay, what are the fundamental things we have? We have a fundamental need to belong, to connect with others.
Your tribe.
So what do? They own the means in which we connect. Like for me to say to my daughters, I got 2 teenage daughters, for me to say to my youngest daughter and say, you need to get off the phone, that's like saying, I'd like you to stop breathing. Yeah. That is how they understand the world. Yes. And so we can't go back. There's no putting it back in the bottle. We have to just get in it with them and try and make it work within.
Toddy, you know what's interesting, and it goes back to the point you're making, Fitz, where it's sort of more shocking. You could argue for language it has developed that way, over time. If someone was to say SHIT on TV, it was like, oh my God, after 9:30 please. But now you've got language that's, really confronting, that's becoming common. Then you go back to the 60s and Elvis Presley on the Ed Sullivan Show, and he was banned for shaking his hips on TV. Now nudity is becoming the normal on many platforms, and the discussion about sex is very free and open. And people are attracted to that in the same sense as what you're talking about because it's jarring and it's shock.
Yes.
So the question is, where does it stop?
Well, you raise an important point there around the binary argument. So Mark Zuckerberg would like you to have a binary argument. He would like you to be thinking it's either all in and all the beautifulness of the internet, marginalized communities connecting, finding love online, information, the way it's changed education, all that good stuff. His argument is this: you either get all of that or you get none of it.
You get the negative.
And that is not true.
No.
We can regulate, which is what I think needs to happen. We can regulate enough to keep the good, all the good, and still marginalize or minimize some of the damages that it causes.
You know the other thing too, and it's frustrating because they talk about the art of conversation being dead and the art of debate being dead, where you're open to learning more about something. And this comes back to the algorithms as well. So if we took something as simple as climate change, right? And if Fitzy was to be anti-believer in climate change, right? And he watches
he's not, yes.
which he's not, and he watches one video longer than another, then the next thing you know, you're just going to be served more information to support your argument. And let's say I'm on the other side and I believe in climate change, then I'm going to be served more information. So when you and I hit the topic, we feel like our army is loaded full of information to go to war. So us learning from each other about what's going on is dead.
Yes, and that's they refer to as echo chambers. And for any belief you have, there are millions of people that have that belief, and they'll feed back and amplify that belief even more. And that is how we communicate.
Yeah.
Or not communicate, as it might be.
Can we go back to the kids? Right, because you just said to us,
scares me.
You can't tell a kid you get off your phone altogether, or you're not having TikTok on your phone. You can't do that. We understand. So how do we work with our children to make sure that they're not going down the negative road?
Yes. Well, first of all, they are in a negative road if they're online exceptional amount of time. Like most kids are now spending 6 hours. On a day. Yeah. So even my daughter, my youngest daughter, I grabbed her phone to check screen time, which I recommend parents do.
Yeah.
And 1 week she had spent 42 hours on TikTok.
Wow.
And she's like, Dad, I'm a low user. And so the thing I would say is, first of all, spending that much screen time is not good because it's isolating them from other people and socialization is declining. Kids are making less and less eye contact today than ever before. They rarely look at you because they spend most of their time connecting online. So they used to believe that all the problems of mental health were down to screen time. So the numbers are, if your kid spends more than 2 hours a day on social media, they're now at risk of mental health issues.
Oh, gosh.
Is that the current understanding?
No, it's changed.
Right.
So they used to believe screen time was the issue. Now the research is showing that the real issue of increasing suicide, self-harm, depression comes down to the introduction of the like button in 2009.
Right.
Because we are not used to that much affirmation or that much feedback. We're not used to it, right? And now we live in a world. Now you imagine your kid who's spending 50 hours a week on their phone.
Trying to get likes.
Yeah. And they're in their development stage.
Oh, my God.
Their brain is not fully developed until the mid-20s. So,
Toddy, you know the funny thing is too, I feel the pressure as a parent, and I'm sure a lot of parents do. Lisa and I always talk about why we love going on holidays, and that's the reason is because we feel like kids grow on holidays. And the reason kids grow is because they're out and about, and the holiday is active, and we're doing things of whatever's on offer in the town that we're in. We're engaged. 100% says. So I feel the pressure as a parent that when we're not on holidays during the week or after school, I need to keep their engagement in day to day with outside activities and things to do.
Yes.
Sure, there's downtime and there's a bit of screen time, but trying to get that balance and trying to find the energy to go, hey.
It's hard for a working parent.
Yes, it is. It's 3 o'clock. We're going to go shoot some hoops. We're going to go ride our bike to the park.
Yep.
You know, it's the pressure to keep doing that.
And that, so that's the reason we can't point the fingers at parents solely. So a lot of people make the argument, they go, well, it's bad parenting that you let your kid on the phone for 40 hours a week. The majority of people who say and will say this film is alarmist are not parents. Because if you're a parent, you know what's going on. You get it because you cannot stop these kids. There's a couple of things that are simple to do. The first one is we know that kids are most vulnerable at night because prior to age 25, they're functioning from the amygdala, the emergency response emotional unit of the brain. At night, they're most vulnerable. And in fact, a lot of the bullying, a lot of that stuff happens at night. So a good little simple thing is to say to your kids, okay, whatever their age is, no phones in your bedroom alone after 8 o'clock.
Yep.
So charge your phone in the living room.
Yep.
The other one that's really good for kids, I took Jet, my youngest daughter's phone. We were walking the dog. I shoved her phone in my back pocket. It felt like a machine gun was shooting me in the butt with the notifications. It was like, bzz, bzz, bzz,
No
bzz, bzz.
way.
And I said, what is that, Jet? And she said, Dad, it's notifications, no big deal. So I highly recommend to everyone, young and old, turn off all notifications, everything, even phone ring. And you'll find it amazing when you realize you now have control of your attention, not your phone.
Yep.
And then the other really, really simple one to do, and particularly for people that are in the media, is, and I did this and it was, wow, it's just so helpful. Get rid of or take off all social media on your mobile device.
Okay.
So keep it on your computer if you need to use it, if you guys need to use it for work or check, but don't have it on your mobile device. And you'll find yourself unable to resist. You'll be picking your phone as soon as you're bored and going, okay, no, it's not there.
I don't have it. Yes.
Oh, shivers. I don't know if I could handle it.
Try it.
And I'm embarrassed to say that.
Try it.
Well, Matt, our newsreader, gave up Instagram about a couple of months ago, and he said, it was the first week it was, and then now he said, I'm so free. I'm not engaged with any of the crap that's going on.
Yeah.
I don't reach for my phone every 2 minutes. I find other things to do.
Oh, my God, I'd have to give up Raya.
Todd Sampson.
You can do it.
I'm
Hang
so
in there.
fascinated by this.
Toddy, I love this stuff.
You are there's some of the stuff in here. You don't hold back, Toddy. I mean, with this show Monday night or tonight, sorry, at 7:30. I mean, what do you kick off with? Is it pretty controversial?
Yeah, so the opening is borderline able to go on television.
Wow.
It's definitely borderline for 7:30, but Channel 10 thought it was important that we show it, and so did we. That's why we made it like that. It opens with an experiment that we did on a site, a video chat site called Omegle. Now, a lot of parents will go, never heard of it, and nearly every child will go, yes, I have.
Omegle.
Yep. It's a video chat site. It's unregulated, no age requirement. You basically just go on and bam. The tagline is talk to strangers. So two people just connect. And I was doing an experiment where I had an actress. She was 19. Yep. She was playing 14. And I had a former police officer in WA, Australian of the Year, WA Australian of the Year, May's dedicated his life to cybersecurity. Now, 10 minutes on. She can't see what I can see.
Yes.
I'm controlling the conversation with the chat. 10 minutes, I would say less than probably 5 minutes in. And someone comes on and she's sitting there innocently and he's like, boobs. And she's like, and I'm typing. I'm like, I'm too shy. He's like, listen, take your top off.
Oh my gosh.
And sorry.
No, it's fine.
And I'm like, my mom is coming up, and he's like, I don't care, you do what I say.
Whoa.
And then wait, so then it gets worse. So then she doesn't do anything. She just sort of freezes. Next thing, he's masturbating to her.
Wow.
So then I kind of lose my mind for a second there. And I go around to the screen where she's sitting, where he can see.
Yeah.
And I go down the lens and I say, you should be in prison. He goes black for a minute. Yeah. The screen goes black. I then go back around and she's now back on screen. He's back to masturbating.
You're kidding.
And that's 5 minutes in. And we're only showing the sanitized version because we couldn't show it all on television. And then the most heartbreaking thing was then while we're chatting, we bump into 3 girls, 9-year-olds under the covers doing it. And I'm chatting through my actress. And what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, we're just having some fun. We're just here to see some scary penises.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
This is,
oh my God.
Parents, you need to be watching this
Say
tonight.
it again. Sorry, Fitz. Say it again. What's the name of that site? Omegle.
I feel bad saying it out loud.
No, it needs
yes,
to be.
It needs to be shut down is what it needs to be.
Well, it's 7:30 tonight on Channel 10. Mirror, Mirror, Love and Hate. Love you, Toddy. Thank you very much for coming in, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, mate.
You're listening to the Fitzy and Whipper podcast.